welcome Sally as Flopsy bookmied up high on the horse. And you look absolutely wonderful, Sally. Really, really, I'm thrilled about. And we welcome a lot of our friends. So allow me just to say briefly what we've had in mind with this celebration here. We're very happy that we're joined by one president of EuroCALL, that is Francoise Blin, and she will be saying something about Graham. Then we are happy to been joined by Bob Fisher, ex-president of CALICO. We're also happy to welcome Randall to say something about Graham Davies, and that Randall himself is president of the VWSIG of CALICO. Then we have Cordelia Condor, who's known Graham since she's become a teacher, a language teacher. And one more person who's known him the longest, really, Vance Stevens. He's joined us from Abu Dhabi, and he is also going to say something about Graham Davies. Graham Davies passed away on Thursday, the 21st of June, about 2 weeks after his 70th birthday, and we have really missed him. We've missed him. Well, we miss him now. We're touched by, so many of us are touched by his life, and so I'm very happy that you've all come together here to share some thoughts about his life. Graham Davies has been the founder and first president of EuroCALL in '93, and he's been in CAL for about 40 years. He started 76. That makes it, 40 something, a bit less than 40 years. He has influenced the lives of so many language educators to motivate them to look into using technology for language education. I've had the great privilege to meet him in Valencia for the first time ever as a real person. That was November last year. And the recording we just watched is a recording of his last presentation at a EuroCALL meeting. It was a VWSIG meeting. And we stayed together also on Sunday at Anne's and enjoyed a day out on the beach. Graham at that time was already physically not in very good shape, and he had problems walking, but he was always in good spirit. And there's something that we can really appreciate about Graham. And I don't know many people who've been so outspoken as he's been. There's a certain expression in German that talks about people who like to dig their heads into the sand, as it were, when there are problems. Graham was not one of them. He readily went out to see that justice has been done, and I'm particularly sort of got into talking to him on a certain area in our professional life. There's a character who seems to disrupt a lot of communities, and Graham was one of them who fought up to make sure that this person is not so destructive. Amongst others, he maintained a Wikipedia site. He actually he took him down, yes. He maintained a Wikipedia site. Graham Davies did. It was the Wikipedia site of CAL. And this character tried to change the text. He came in as an anonymous, under an IP address that was known, and Graham explicitly to try to find out who it is. And then in the end of the day, he made sure that this person was banned from Wikipedia. This was a typical thing that Graham did. He didn't just ignore problems, he went out, he sorted it out, and we appreciate that about him so much. He enriched many of our lives. He was always interested in people, and Sally and Graham were really a grand couple. Really were. And it was a great privilege to meet both of them in Valencia. So there's one more thing I would like to say before I pass over to Bob Fisher. There's one thing about people who've been in research for decades. Graham Davies had an outstanding knowledge and a knowledge about CAL, computer-assisted language learning. And then there's one thing about people who die and who actually take their wisdom into the grave. Now, Graham Davies wrote everything that he knew down. His websites have been accessed thousands of times. Many language educators know about his main website, ICT for LT. Also the blog that goes with it, the Wikipedia sites. In that respect, Graham has done what a lot of people want to be, namely he made himself kind of, how can you say, he left a digital heritage, no, it's the immortal, that's it, that was the word. He made himself immortal. Well, it's, if you read the book Infinite Reality by Blazkowicz, it actually talks about that people leave a digital imprint in our world that cannot be sort of undone. He was here with us in Second Life so many times. He's imprinted in our minds. He's imprinted on many websites. His know-how is all written down. And in that respect, he has not taken his knowledge into the grave. He's left it for us. And this is what we're so grateful for. I'd just like to conclude with one sentence. I had a webinar this week with some Turkish language educators. And I mentioned just the word, did any of you know Graham Davies? And they said, no, we don't. I said, well, he's died and we're going to have an event on Sunday on EduNation to commemorate his life. And then one of them logged into Second Life. One of them checked everything about with the name Graham Davies. She ended up on his website. She said she spent hours on the website. She was so happy to hear and to see all of that he's left behind. She's now joined Second Life, and Graham Davies has helped a lot of us to love Second Life. And yeah, that's it from my side. How can I say that we truly miss him and we love him and we thank him for all he did in his life. So with that, I'm passing over to Bob. If that's okay.
Good morning. This is Bob Fisher. I mentioned earlier that I am a novice to Second Life. So if you can see the Bob Hipster avatar, that's me, very plain. And I want to say especially, hi Sally. Sally and I are smoking buddies, or used to be smoking buddies. You'll be glad to know, Sally, I quit about 1.5 years ago because of what I went through. About Graham. I met Graham in the middle 1990s when I inherited Calico. And at that time, things were very, very difficult in Calico. And the relationship between CALICO and EuroCALL was not very good because of things that happened in previous years. Didn't really know all the ins and outs, all the details, but I knew there were hard feelings. And when I met Graham, within 5 minutes, we were talking openly and honestly about all the things that had happened and all the things that could be done to repair the relationship between CALICO and EuroCALL, and we did. From that point on, within 5 minutes, and from that point on, I would call Graham Davies a very close colleague and a good friend. Stable, helpful, insightful, committed, engaged. One can think of any string of adjectives that apply to Graham. One thing that is absolutely true, EuroCALL would not exist without Graham. And much of the advance that we all see in CALL right now would not have been possible without Graham. For that, I think we can say he has left his mark on everybody. On a more personal note, I had to step down from CALICO about 1.5 years ago because of a serious illness very similar to Graham's. As I was telling various boards that I could no longer be on them, Graham heard that I had to step down and emailed me. This was very early in my diagnosis, and I was at the time very, very unstable. Graham knew exactly what to say, not only because he had been through something similar, but also because of who he was. Thank you, Graham. I'll pass the microphone to somebody else.
Yeah, may I pass the microphone over to Francoise Blin?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Because I'm using this, the family computer on the next to do Zoom on this one. As I said, and Doug was said, a little rule justice, I was the founding president of the European, and he was the president from 1992 to 2000. And this is when I worked in first in 92 when EuroCALL was first founded as a structural program, and then joined the committee a couple of years later, maybe 2 years later, yeah, 2005. So in 2000 he decided to step down because he thought he was doing very organized, and he kind of stepped in to stay as a new member because he couldn't see if he was with his friends. And he was a member, an elected member, every 3 years he was still elected, until 2011. And during all these years, as you he has played very key role in the queer community, and not just in Europe, but as what said, even beyond Europe and worldwide, because he was one of the key people as well to forge links between the within the queer community, not just in the West, but all over the world, and he was really very much involved in the World Queer conferences from the very beginning. And we're really sorry that he won't be there for the next one, which is going to take place next year in Glasgow. And he has forged links just not between geographical people, but also between the virtual and the material world. And I think what we have here in the second time, in EduNation, we have been instrumental in bringing many of us from EuroCALL here, and I feel that without them, I would have never, ever tried to come to second time. He was a pioneer and a visionary. He was very quick at recognizing what was coming down the line, and he was always pushing us to explore these new technologies, but not just for the sake of technology. He never lost sight of what language learning and language teaching was about. And he has created so much resources, guidelines, for what are freely available, and I can also mention the ICT.org, which came out of the European project, but And I find it quite interesting because I am involved with many others in what to do not in English projects, and one other thing I'm working on at the moment is sustainability. And it's quite tricky. But on his own, Graham managed to maintain the English version of the ICT for LC5, and it's still going very strongly now. And now EuroCALL will try. We don't know yet how, but we just will be doing and always need to make sure that the ongoing work is not going to disappear now, and we're committed to take over some of it. I'm not sure we'll be able to take over everything, but that will be one thing we're really time. But there's many things we'd like to say about Graham's contribution to EuroCALL, but I mean, I would be here all night, I think, so I'm not going to really try. I think that, so let's say that his online presence was just simply huge. Okay, the sound is not... Is that better now? Okay. His presence was very big. I mean, he inadequate second site, Twitter, Facebook, as well as many forums and discussion groups all over the place. And he was navigating between them. He always contributing in a timely fashion, answering queries and so on. But I think meeting people in their life was still what we were enjoying the most. And this time, just last year, a year ago, we had some issues at the then forthcoming EuroCALL conference. And within the executive, we were discussing whether we should allow many people to just to have a paper accepted and then to say, no, we wouldn't be coming, but we would deliver paper online. And we had to stick the date because it is a real issue for us. Financially, face-to-face conference. It is a truck in the bar and the gala dinner that I would miss most. Taking your other car down to the disco myself find the safety plan, but then it gets boring and it's no substitute for the real thing. And I think we will going to Gothenburg in August. At the moment we are not really looking forward to it because it's going to be missed. The EuroCALL Executive Committee decided to award him honorary EuroCALL membership in recognition for his outstanding contribution and commitment to EuroCALL. And for us it was a very small thing, it was really a symbolic thing, but we just wanted to know he was making, we just wanted to signify to him how much we valued him. So we had just retired 6 months previously from the EuroCALL Committee. We knew that his health was going downhill quite rapidly. And then he replied straight away when I sent him the news, and he said, what a surprise. And he was absolutely delighted and flattered, and thought it was a very small thing that to just in order to do more. And this happened just 2 days after he heard the news that that surgery was not an option anymore. He didn't know that at the time. And but yet, even with this message telling us about that, he was so much upbeat, and he said, you know, only good results, and he was looking forward to this team again. And to many of us, and most of us in EuroCALL, Graham was much more than a colleague, he was much more than the first president. Yes, that was important, but he was even much more than the pioneer who led the way to better language teaching and learning, than the advisor who helped us setting up our new language labs and our training programs, our language centers. He was more than the accomplished scholar who expressively reviewed the missions for core conferences for victories and everything. He was warm, compassionate, and funny. It did not matter to me who you were, what your professional status or title was, whether you were a graduate student, serving with your research project, or a fully fledged academic. Didn't matter to me whether you worked in higher or secondary education. They would regale you with his story, he would support you, and he would be there for you in good times, as well as in bad times, and in personal life and in real life. So just want to finish by thanking Graham for being such an inspiration for so many of us. Incredibly, I'm so content that I'll be the same. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Francoise. Thank you. May I pass over to Really Condor, Helen Myers in real life? We all are emotional. Thank you so much for expressing your care and your love.
I'm now reading aloud what I prepared through a little film of tears, but that was really, really beautifully put, Francoise. So yes, in real life, I'm Helen Myers. I'm a language teacher and manager in the UK, and really committed to sharing, to being in contact with colleagues, to sharing ideas and practice. And really for me, wherever I have been in my entire professional life, Graham seems to have been there as well. And really echoing what Francoise has said, he really was with all sectors as well. My main experience has been with secondary in the UK, but I knew, and I'm learning now as well, even more, how much he did for everybody, for all sectors. And I think what I'm about to say, I hope is representative of what a lot of secondary in particular, but also primary and university and FE teachers would be saying from the UK. There are about 6 areas where I'd particularly like to focus on my thanks. First of all, on the materials which he produced. He devised this program called Fun with Texts, and it was one of the first ones which I used for IT. And I still find it to be one of the most flexible, effective and efficient ways of using ICT. Lots of other things have come, other things have gone as well, but this particular program has been there, and he's always been looking to develop it, and especially now that you can add sound and video to it, it really is excellent. So first of all, thank you so much to Graham for the programs that you produced. A second area is his company, Camsoft Partners, where I know his family are involved as well. And what I've really appreciated there is that when I wanted to buy something for the school or investigate programs which we could use, you could phone up Graham and he would just spend as long as you needed talking to you about the programs, and he'd be totally honest about it. I mean, this was something where he could have said to me, yes, all of these things are worth buying, just get them. But he didn't do it for the sake of it. He always would say, yeah, this I think would suit you, but frankly, no, that one's not so good. So I would say thank you so much, Graham, for your company and for helping out so much and for your advice. A third area is just the way that he was involved in all of the electronic fora that there are. I tend to belong to quite a lot of them, and he is in every single one that I belong to. So we have particularly LinguaNet, MFL Resources, that's the Yahoo group, which has 4,000 teachers in it. There's the Times Educational Supplement Forum, which a lot of UK teachers use. And then more recently, Twitter, Facebook, and then the various links, which we have, Avalon link and the EuroCALL link. So he's always there. And I find he's always there offering prompt and informed and helpful information. particularly when it was to do with ICT and languages, but also other things to do with languages. And I've done a search, and you can look to see in each of those boards the number, the thousands of posts which he's given, and which is still there. It's been mentioned before. There's this legacy which was there for everybody. I do workshop sessions at my school, and I had one this last Wednesday, and I was looking at my slides and thinking, well, what do I have to change about the slides? Number one slide on going for anywhere for information is Graham and the site, the ICT for Languages website. It is really so helpful. Then the next area is to thank Graham for introducing me to this life, to this second life, and that was where he put a posting on the LinguaNet forum talking about this languages conference for language teachers. And I very, very quickly got an avatar and wisdom, and got terribly stuck everywhere, stuck in trees, going to the bottom of the sea, losing my clothes, all that sort of thing. And I've always found him just to be so patient in talking you through. If you have a problem, he'll always have it. Yes, and it doesn't change, Randall, it's still there. You know, it's just been fantastic the way that he introduced me, and I personally have got so much out of being here, where I'm learning languages myself, but also doing a bit of teaching. And for that, I'd really thank him for his patience and his enthusiasm. So thank you, Groovy Winkler. I've already touched on this, but in particular, fifth area is, the site which he's maintained, the ICT for L2. It really is an excellent repository of information. And he seems to have tried out anything that's going, any new tools and systems. And he was one of the first people that I Skyped with when I was trying out Skype. But in particular, what I've liked is he is really, again, honest and open in his analysis of just how effective they are. It's been mentioned before that he wouldn't just use IT for the sake of it. It was always, and how does this help with teaching and learning? And in particular also, he was willing to change his mind. So there might have been areas where he was a little bit cynical, not really sure if it's going to work. I know that with Twitter in particular at the beginning, he wasn't sure about it. But he's a sort of person where, if he's tried something out and if he thinks actually it does work after all, there's no sort of shame in saying, actually changed my mind about it. And there is a quote, isn't there, attributed to Keynes of, when I find new information, I change my mind. What do you do? And I feel with Graham, he was just so honest. He would look into things and be prepared to say, yeah, actually, it's okay after all. And the final area that I'd like to mention is just really thanking him for his friendship in the real world. I can really echo what Francoise says that, we're fine meeting virtually, but nothing beats actually meeting people face to face, if you can. And I've put together, that if you can see behind, there's a board which says Bordeaux 2010. And that's just a selection of some of the photos that I've taken with Graham. And I've had the real privilege of meeting him in real life. And he did me the honour of actually coming to my school once. I felt a little bit in awe of him when he came along to one of my workshops. But again, this sense that people were saying, he's just so, it didn't really matter where you are in the pecking order, he was still interested in you, and he still would be friendly with everybody. So the fact he actually came to my school was just fantastic. And there on the board you can see some of the pictures that I took of the Bordeaux EuroCALL conference. And it's absolutely down to Graham that I went along there, and I thoroughly enjoyed it and met so many new people, such friendly people, and in particular people from here in Second Life. He gave an absolutely wonderful keynote presentation where he did a summary of everything to do with IT. And it really was. It was entertaining, it was succinct, very, very useful. So, to Graham, I would say thank you so much for your company, these various social events, for your friendship and your company. And really, lastly, really just to say, it was, and as others have said, it's just been lovely to meet Sally as well through Graham. He's talked an awful lot about his family life online. We all know you. We know that you have, about your trips, your skiing. We know about your family, we've seen pictures, and he was just so proud of everything to do with his family. And I know that family would come absolutely first. The number of times he would say, sorry, I can't come to that meeting because we always go out for a meal in a restaurant on a Friday evening. So really, it's been great to meet you. So just in summary, thanks for everything, Graham, and like everybody else, I really will miss you.
Well, we can definitely confirm what you're saying. Thank you, Helen, for these words. They really speak out of our hearts. May I now pass over to Randall?
Okay, just the quick microphone check. Make sure I'm coming through okay. Okay. Well, I hate written speeches, and I never like to do written speeches, but for Graham, I decided I had to write something down because he's worth it. So pardon my horrible reading here. But Graham Davies, or the Groovy One, as I prefer to call him, was not only a great scholar and a good person, but also, for me, a friend. As many of you have mentioned for yourselves, I first met him virtually here on EduNation back when it was owned by Gavin Dudney. And at that time, Graham was setting up a headquarters for EuroCALL already on EduNation. When I was working on my own house, and suddenly I saw some guy galloping by on a beautiful horse, much like the one that Sally has been on here today. My instant jealousy of his magnificent steed led me to follow him and introduce myself. I say I met Graham that day, but for about 2 weeks, I only knew him as Groovy. And when I discovered his, quote, secret, unquote, real-life identity, we soon started talking about our experiences in virtual worlds and their potential for language learning. Over time, we both helped to found virtual world SIGs for EuroCALL and CALICO. And more importantly, he showed me where I could get a horse as awesome as his, which I still ride occasionally today, but I don't want to trample the beagle, so I won't use it right now. We spent a lot of time talking, riding horses, building a joint headquarters, and even talking about learning in virtual worlds. Shocking. After working together for a couple years, I finally had the chance to meet Groovy's real-life counterpart, Graham, at EuroCALL when it took place in Hungary. I'm very happy to say that the real-life Groovy was, number one, even better looking than his Second Life counterpart. Number two, he had the exact same sense of humor as his avatar, which is to say, perfect. And number three, to be a real-life wonderful friend and scholar. Most recently, as a couple other people have mentioned, I did see Graham accompanied by the superb Sally at a workshop given in Valencia, Spain, focusing on the use of virtual worlds. We gave the workshop to a huge group of public school teachers there in Valencia. And as always, through the technical triumphs and disasters, Graham wowed the audience with his knowledge and his Second Life skills. My wife, Mizumi, was able to join me on that trip, which she was very happy about. And our time spent there with Graham and Sally, eating tapas in wonderful bars in Valencia, is absolutely treasured by us both. Of course, I know that we will all miss the Groovy One, but as other people said, I'm so happy that I was able to meet and work with him over the time that we did. He helped to make both my virtual and real-life existences richer, and I thank him for that very much. That's it for me.
Thank you, Randall. I didn't know about this steed envy. But we're admiring Sally's horse, and this is the one that he gave her to Sal as a present. So you can imagine Groovy's horse. If that's a present to Sally, it's a beautiful stallion. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to pass over to Vance Stevens now.
Okay, can you hear me okay? I'm getting the green bar, yes, okay, well, I resonate with Randall's experiences with Graham and Kappas bars and things like that, because that's part of how I knew Graham. Discovered this evening that he started in Cal years before I did. I got and probably maybe 10 years later that I finally met him. And I thought it was in Miami, but he corrected me one time. I think maybe it was in New York. But anyway, it would have been toward the end of the 1980s or something like that. And I was, like everybody, pretty impressed with him. So when I decided I might want to try doing a PhD, I engaged him to be my advisor. And about halfway through it, and I did some research and made a publication, but I kind of got involved with my family, and I never did complete it. But he always introduced me as his student after that, and that caused me to go out and meet him a couple of times. I met him in Ealing a couple of times. I think one time I went by a pub in Maidenhead, and one time I met him in Hungary. So all of these, he was always keen to introduce me to some real ales. And I remember also he liked a pub that had a webcam, and he used to communicate in days when it was hard to do that, that he was at this particular pub, and if we stopped by the webcam, we could see him there. So I used to do that sometimes. But anyhow, one thing that, another way that I knew Graham was through St. Johann. One time I went to Europe and wanted to try skiing, and he told me I should really go to St. Johann. And so that was the first time I went there, but I'm really glad the second time I went to St. Johann was just last year in January 2011, and I was quite privileged to meet his family, Sally, and many others in his family, and to have a few drinks with them and some of the bars there. It was a very pleasant experience. And my son came with me, and he took a really nice picture of Graham Davies with a helmet, and that's one that I really liked. He was really sweet in that picture, which he was, of course. So, like everybody, I will miss him very much. I find myself thinking about him quite a lot, and I'm sure we're all just beginning to realize the extent of our loss. But we do have, as has been said, a really nice legacy from him. So, as Heike pointed out earlier on, so much of what he has done is preserved, and we certainly hope that it will continue to be so. So thank you very much for letting me talk a little bit about him.
Thank you very much, Vance. Now, yeah, I've been asking in the background the family whether any of you here present, that is just behind me, Daisy Waffle. She is Sian. I'm not sure I know her, Sian. That's his daughter. And she's joined by Silver Fox Marchand. That he is the son-in-law, that's Tim. Then we have Sally as Flopsybook might on the horse. So I've been asking them whether any of them would like to share something or say something. And Flopsy is writing that she would like me to tell everyone how comforting this has been for her, how much she thanks and appreciates it, and how much she misses Graham, that her heart is broken. Sorry. We're very, very sorry for your loss. And we're here for you, Sally. So if you want to have company, come into Second Life and join us. We're always around here. If you want to have some company with your family, obviously they're there for you too. Nobody can replace Graham. He was way too unique, and nobody can even reach his level of know-how of being the most wonderful human that we've known, really. But we share with you our sadness that he's gone, and so we hope that you join us in Second Life every so often, although I know it will be full of memories for you. But we would love to leave this memory of Graham here. We actually decided to rename the place to be the Graham Davies Groovy Winkler EuroCALL CALICO headquarters. It's now put in marble that this will be his memory for many of us. So we would like to leave this here and hope that people will be able to just come and read up on Graham and hear about him, and as we're talking about him, keep in our memories.
Hi, it's Tim here.
Oh, wonderful. Yes. Please speak up. We hear you.
Can everybody hear me okay? Lovely. Firstly, it's strange for me because I'm a newbie to all this, but to see so many of Graham's colleagues from all over the place in an environment that I'm not used to, but I do appreciate what is going on here. It's fantastic. And the other thing is, I was totally unaware of the depth and breadth of Graham's professional career and what he'd been doing all over the place, really. I knew he did a little bit in call and had some form of understanding of what he did, but not to this depth and breadth. It's quite remarkable, and gives me a greater understanding and impression of the man that I knew and loved dearly. He's been a fantastic father-in-law and father, really, to me, and sadly missed. Some of what Graham did with his family was just to be there for them and to support them and to love them as a father and a husband shall do that. But also he brought immense amounts of fun into all our lives. He was always the first to the bar. He was always the one on the slopes. He was always the one with the get up and go. And that's, I think, everybody has experienced in his professional career and his personal career. And for that, I will always miss that. His sense of humour, as we all know, was as dry as ever. But his critical eye was there, wandering around. I must admit, when the first time I met him, I was quite intimidated by him. All I saw was the back of a newspaper. He would never drop it. He just sat and listened and checked me out. But we got on. We were very good friends, and he was fantastic company. And the other thing I think about Graham is his love of things to do, his hobbies. He loved and adored his dogs, and helped other people appreciate greyhounds in a way that not many people could do, because a dog's a dog at the end of the day, and it's a personal thing. But he increased other people's interest in many, many things. That's it really from me. Just very much appreciate this time that you've all given to remember Graham. And he's always in our hearts and shall be a long way. And it's fantastic to see that his professional legacy will grow, because every time it's read or viewed or discussed, something is added to it. So it's just a lovely environment. So many thanks indeed. Thank you.
Thank you for those wonderful words. And yes, we do remember Graham to have a great, great sense of humor. And he also loved Second Life. He really did. I mean, this environment just really suited him. Apart from the beer, though. So we thank Tim Martin and his wife. Well, he is son-in-law, and his wife is Sian Martin, who are both here, and together with their daughter. Is she around as well, Tim? Yeah, she's actually moving his avatar.
Yeah.
What's her name? Sorry. Aela. Excellent.
Aela,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Can I ask anybody else whether you would like to say something about Graham? If you want to do it in writing, we'll read it out loud because there's a recording. And if not, then yeah. Just if you want to write a few sentences in the text chat, I will read them out loud. And then we'll conclude this meeting. Oh, there's a wall wish for him. Oh, fantastic. So I wasn't aware of that.
Well, could I just say that's wallwisher.com/wall/RIP Graham. So if you'd like to go there, you can leave a message just by double-clicking on the wall. Anybody can write that.
Can't talk, you're crying too much. Yeah. Yes, we would like to see the fireworks to celebrate his life, because it was a wonderful life he had. And Marissa says he was wonderfully giving, and she was impressed too that he was concerned about maintaining human relationships. I think he's the person with whom I felt there was never a distance, even whilst we communicated at a distance. He was so really close, you know. He was just not distant at all. And he treated everybody the same. So with that, I thank everybody dearly for your expressions from your heart, for thinking of Graham and celebrating his life as the, I called him Grand Seigneur, but I was told it's not really such positive expression. But he was the Grand Seigneur for me. Very French thinking. The Grand Seigneur of EuroCALL. And wonderful family man and great, great friend. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming. Please remember to add each other as friends, and please accept the group invitation that I will send out again now, because we would love to be staying together in Graham's memory. And thank you so much. Yeah, sorry for my bad speech. Okay, thank you.
Heike, I'd like to thank you very much for staging this event for us and for setting up this lovely surroundings. Certainly appreciate that. And thank you very much.
Who's the best dressed woman? I would like to say one last thing. Who's the best dressed woman in Second Life? Apart from Sue, obviously. Yes, Flopsy. And she's even now so elegant on that horse, it's unbelievable. And we've been told by Graham that she owns about 1,000 dresses in Second Life. She makes them, whoa. And we really enjoyed that. Well, I enjoyed from Flopsy a lot of wardrobe. Whatever she won. She never spent a penny in Second Life and owns 1,000 dresses or something like that. Well, I was just about to say it. She doesn't win them, she just gambles them. Oh, you got a tattoo on the back. Wow, show us. Did Graham have a tattoo as well?